chose to do the country of Serbia. Serbia was once a part of a whole big country called Yugoslavia. It's like all these countries right here. Yugoslavia broke up in the 1990s. There was a lot of internal war in Yugoslavia because of the different people in each area. So they finally decided to break it up and have each group of people pretty much have their own area to themselves. It broke up to Hungary, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Albania, Kosovo. Well, actually, Kosovo didn't break off of Serbia until 2008. Macedonia and Bulgaria.
And some of the major cities here you can see are Novi Sad, the capital of Belgrade, Smederevo, and those are the major cities because they're on the rivers and they're can easily connect the country with other countries. So.
Okay, the governmental structure of Serbia, it's a lot like the structure of the United States. They have a president, which is their executive branch. They have a legislative branch, which is their National Assembly. And then they have a judicial branch. They have a lot of prime ministers, and their parliament is what is called their National Assembly. They also have a lot of ministers. The president serves 5 years at a time, and he can serve up to 2 terms.
Same as the United States,
Yeah.
minus the 5 years part.
They have a lot of governmental parties. They have a Democratic Party, just like the United States, a Democratic Party of Serbia, New Serbia, G17+, Serbian Radical Party, Socialist Party of Serbia, and Liberal Democratic Party. These parties are really similar to the parties of the United States. Their main parties are the parties that are actually in the National Assembly, and they get a lot of word in what goes on in the National Assembly. The English translation of these parties is Let's Get Serbia Moving and Choice for a Better Life. Let's Get Serbia Moving has 73 seats in the National Assembly, and Choice for a Better Life has 67 seats in the National Assembly. Both of these parties work for socialism and trying to create a better living environment in Serbia. The goal of these parties is to, as I said, create a better living environment and just make Serbia a better place. In 2006, the political parties pushed for a new constitution in Serbia. This constitution stated that the President of the Republic is now head of the armed forces, and the amendments to the law on ministries will be closely defined by the jurisdiction of the military of defense.
They're also both socialist, both the parties.
Yes, indeed.
And the reason why their goals are so similar is because governmental parties are not going to work against each other. They're going to they both want to help the country for the greater good. All right, but I'm going to talk about some of the people in charge. The president, Boris Tadic, he's part of the Democratic Party. Democratic Serbia. Prime Minister Vojislav Kostunica is part of the Democratic Party of Serbia.
Boris Tadic was actually the Minister of the Defense for Serbia before he became president. Mm-hmm. Just a little fun fact.
Now, they have many ministers, and, kind of like the U.S. has departments of things, they have ministers of things. So they have a Minister of Agriculture, which is Slobodan Milosavljevic, Minister of Culture, Vojislav Bravojic, Minister of Defense, Dragan Tutanovac, Minister of Diaspora, Milika Kurbillo, Minister of the Economy and Regional Development, that's Mlađan Dinkic, Minister of Education, Zoran Lonkar, Minister of Energy, Alexander Popovic, Minister of Finance, Mirko Svetovic, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Vuk Jeremy. Minister of Health, Tomika Miloslavljevic. Minister of Infrastructure is Velimir Ilic. Minister of Interior, Dragan Jokic. Minister of Justice is Dusan Petrovic. Minister of Kosovo and Metohija, which Kosovo is the country that broke off. So they have a minister for that. I'm not really sure why, but they do. Is Slobodan Samardzik. Minister of Labor and Social Policy is Rasim Lajajic. Minister of Religion is Radomir Naumov. And Minister of Science is Anna Pesikon. Minister of Sports and Youth is Snezana Markovic Samardzik. Minister of State Administration and Local Self-Government is Milan Markovic. The Minister of Telecoms and Internet Technology is Alexandra Slimajnak. And the Minister of Trade is Predrag Bubalo. And if you'll notice, all these ministers, they kind of have, some of them are female names. That's because in this country, unlike most Eastern European countries, they let women serve in the government, which is kind of rare. And most of them are the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party of Serbia, DS and DSS, with, there's some G17 plus, and there's some, Socialist Party of Serbia, but for the most part, they're DS and DSS. There's the Serbian population pyramid, which is pretty much, it's a developed country in some aspects, but in some aspects it's developing. It's developing because they have, not a low life expectancy, but compared to most, developed countries, they die pretty young. They die around 55, I think, is their life expectancy. They had a baby boom around 55, 60 years ago, which is a lot of kids, or a lot of 55-year-olds right now in that time period. They're having less kids now because they're, developing, and their women are getting jobs and making money and, not wanting to have more kids because they have things to do besides that. And their main industries are, their top two are thermal power plants and hydroelectric plants. They have a lot of rivers running through, so it's very easy for them to get hydroelectric power, and they sell that to other countries. Thermal power plants, they have a lot of biomass there that's easily burned in their country. And the three others are mining, textile, and agriculture. Mining and textiles are, not that big, but they're still there. They still make money off it. But agriculture, that's fairly new. They've just integrated the use of pesticides into their crops, which helps them get a lot more bang for their buck, and they get a lot more crops out of what they plant. So that's a great thing for them as far as that goes. And Rachel will take away the current event article.
Okay, we chose an article called "Serbia Successfully Harmonizes Wine Production Regulations with Those of EU." This is a big step for Serbia. It involves the agriculture, like Billy just said, which is one of their, now is growing to be one of their money-making things in their country. Serbia has always been a very violent country, and they've never been one to really settle for anything, so this was a big step in becoming more developed and less violent and against everyone. They're trying to work better with the EU. They've always had war with Kosovo and their own country. That just settled in, that actually didn't finalize until 2010. So for them to finally just come and agree with the EU on something, it was a big step for them. Okay, and then the only real differences between the government in the United States and the government in Serbia is that the government in Serbia has a prime minister who's actually the head of the government. The president does a lot, he makes a lot of decisions, but the prime minister is who everyone respects and goes to for everything. The National Assembly has 250 seats. So, like I said earlier, for one group to have 74 seats and the other to have 60-something seats, that's a lot of seats between two political parties. But because they have so many political parties, none of them actually, take over anything or are the actual ones in control, unlike the Democratic and Republican Party. Because the Democratic and Republican Party in the United States are the two main parties, but in Serbia they have so many that They don't really have minority parties or anything like that. The judicial branch is the least powerful branch in Serbia. They don't really do much except for, I mean, there are courts and stuff, but because all the laws have just recently been defined much clearer in the new constitution from the push of the political parties, they really don't have much to interpret. They just tell people if they're guilty or not. For people to be elected into the National Assembly, you have to receive at least 5% of votes in the entire country. That's pretty hard to do considering how many political parties they have. Whereas, like, if it were us, it'd be like 50% would be Democratic, 50% would be Republic, except for the few that have minority parties. For them, it has to be just 5%, which is not very high. So yeah, Serbia is growing into a much better developed country, and they're working on a lot of things, and that's Serbia.
All right. That's it. I'm Billy.
I'm Rachel.
That's it.